What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another old school Monday Night Raw review. This one is from March 11th, 1996. This week's Raw is apparently live after having about 3 to 4 shows taped. We are in San Antonio, Texas, which could also possibly be the first time that they're outside of the tri state area. So it doesn't look like Dr. Doofenshmirtz will try any of his tricks here. Someone correct me if I'm not correct on saying that this is their first show outside of the East Coast. And if you do correct me, I'm going to make sure to block you forever. How dare you question my memory? First match of the show is Savio Vega versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. They still refer to him as the ringmaster, but now is going officially by Stone Cold, but he's still managed by Ted DiBiase. As we learned with Yokozuna at the last pay-per-view, McMahon doesn't care if you are good at cutting promos, he's still going to give you a manager either way. Austin didn't get an entrance, but he does control most of the match. We also see Mark Henry in the crowd, world's strongest man about to head to the Olympics. Well, I guess he's not the world's strongest man yet, or is he? I don't know. One thing I will point out is that I found out that Savio Vega was indeed a legend or a top name in Puerto Rico, going by the name of TNT, and he wore a mask. I guess that would explain why they had him in a mask as Quang back in 1994. So I know this is about 40 episodes late, but thanks to Mr. El Rios for pointing this out on the review number 118. That's how far I'm out with doing these reviews. So getting back to the match, Savio hits a huge spinning kick to send Austin outside. They both fight on the outside and can't make it back before the ref counts them out. They continue to brawl even after the bell rings. Ref tries to break it up but can't until Savio hits a spinning kick to take Austin out and to the outside. DiBiase holds him back and they walk away. Pretty simple match, not much else to talk about there. They show some footage from earlier before the show where Mark Henry confronted Jerry Lawler and press slammed the King. Why do they keep having guys feud with Lawler? No Jerry feud has ever been good his whole run in the WWF. Goldust is up next to talk and maybe comfort Roddy Piper. Before we move on, I have to mention that they got rid of the mayor of merchandise to give Doc Hendricks more airtime. First, he takes Todd Pettingill's job as the pay-per-view update host, and now he's shilling the WWF shop. And he's also the conductor for the Raw band. Well, I guess they save money. Instead of hiring 3 guys, they can just pay one person to do all 3 jobs. Anyways, Piper makes his way out to confront Goldust and asks him what his major malfunction is. Here's some audio from this segment.
And you think for once that, hey, let's first of all, let's get our sexuality right. You are what you are. Me, I'm a lesbian, okay? You know what really bothers me, though, is the pride that you don't have. Look around you, man. Look at, those are kids down there. Those are adults up there. The Intercontinental is a very prestigious position. Something you should be proud of, but no. You gotta make this big mockery come up against me so you can get yourself a little higher in the ratings, right? Are we playing mind games? Let me tell you something. You're messing with the wrong guy. You know what? Not even Freddy Krueger comes into my nightmares.
So Piper really hot about Goldust pretending to be what he is, just to play mind games, and he's not gonna fall for any of it. He's the innovator of mind games. Goldust takes the mic and gets down on his knees. Goldust creeps around Piper and wants a sneak preview of Roddy and lifts his skirt up. Sorry, I mean kilt. And is it just me or is it getting hot in here? I feel something in my pants and I haven't carried a pencil since high school. Piper has enough of this and shoves Goldust. Goldust slaps him back and Piper knocks him on his ass. So Roddy makes a backlot brawl between himself and Goldust. Didn't say a WrestleMania, but that's where it's going to be. Spoiler alert. Next up, we have the Godwins in a jobber match. I miss these kind of matches, these jobber matches, because I get to skip them. Haven't been able to skip anything for the last couple of weeks. But we get to the end where Henry hits the slap drop for the win. Not sure what these guys got going on at the moment, but they get a win here to stay relevant. Next up, we have a video promo for Shawn Michaels in his hometown and it introduces us to his mentor, Jose Lothario. We see some footage of Shawn training as he prepares for the Iron Man match. It's been his dream since he was a kid to be the WWF champion, and he's this close to achieving that goal. But he has to face Bret Hart, who we also get a video package for. He gives us a rundown of his upbringing in Calgary, and that his training is tougher than the Mexican training that Shawn has received. Bret doesn't know many tough Mexican wrestlers. They're all just jumping and bouncing around. His words, not mine.
Shawn's roots, you're talking about really a really sharp tie-in with Mexican wrestling, and jumping and running and moving, a lot of action. But as far as being tough, I don't know of any really tough Mexican wrestlers.
So this is what they do this week to build up their match for WrestleMania. Not bad, I guess, for the time. At least they're mentioning each other, unlike in 1993, where Bret and Yokozuna were never on Raw at the same time in the build-up from the Rumble to WrestleMania. But we're still not at the point where we get both opponents in multiple segments on each show in the lead up to WrestleMania. And to be honest, maybe we should go back to these type of builds where we barely see them together in the same room until their match at WrestleMania. Next up, another jobber match. This time, Hunter Hearst Helmsley takes on some guy. Makes out with the girl he brings out this week. Not as hot as the girl from last week, but he picks up the win with the pedigree. And they do announce here that Ultimate Warrior will be making his return to face Helmsley at WrestleMania. This is really flying under the radar for me. Warrior is one of those guys before my time, so I don't really care that he's making a return here, especially when he's not even showing up to build the match. Next, we have a Scheme Gene sketch. Some more jokes about Hogan and Randy Savage being old and balding, as Scheme Gene continues to try and show his hotline. But the funny thing is, the WWF also has a hotline that they had to plug. So why would they call attention to WCW running a scam with their hotline? Wouldn't that make their fans think that WWF is also pulling a scam with their hotline? At least the smart adults, which are the ones that are actually calling these hotlines. Next up, we have Undertaker and Yokozuna versus Bulldog and Owen Hart. Diesel watching from the back, and he tells us that he hopes the rumors of Shawn Michaels aren't true. Vince asks him to elaborate on what he means by rumors, and Diesel shoves away the camera. Why would he bring it up if he didn't want to talk about it? Doesn't make any sense. Yokozuna and Taker go face to face because they've had issues in the past. Yokozuna literally sent Taker to heaven 2 years ago, and Taker has been terrifying him ever since. But they will have to work together, even though what does Taker have to do with Owen and Bulldog? Why would he agree to help? Diesel makes his way out and beats up Paul Bearer without Taker seeing it, but Taker realizes what happened and leaves to go find Diesel in the back. Turns into a handicap match. Vader makes his way to ringside again, and the same thing that happened last week, it happened again. Jake Roberts and Ahmed Johnson also come out, and they all brawl. I guess the difference is that the heels don't back out. Referees and officials try to come out to break this up. Eventually, the heels do get punked out, and they leave to the back, and the faces stand tall as the show ends. This show will get a bad grade. Now, it did have some bright spots, like Austin and Savio starting a feud, the videos for Shawn and Brett, and the segment with Goldust and Piper. But overall, those little moments won't save the entire show. We had a return of two meaningless jobber matches. As much as I like them because I get to skip them, it kind of brings it down when there's multiple jobber matches. And the show ended with a rerun that we saw 2 weeks ago. Diesel attacking something that Taker cared about, and then Taker going after him. This tag match to end the show was again unnecessary. They could have just had these guys all brawl for like 10 minutes. It could have stemmed from a backstage or in-ring interview. But it's wrestling, sure, have the match, whatever, but it still sucks. And by the way, I mean that in the way that the show was written, not the wrestlers. They go out there and do their best with what they are given, which isn't always that great. So, skippable show on the road to WrestleMania. So, until the next one, I am out.